Hello everyone, and thank you for attending today's webinar on our Liaison Travel series of products. My name is David Boggs, and I'm the Sales Operational Manager. Joining me today is Janice Hendricks, our internal sales trainer for the account management team. Janice has been with Seven Corners for over 9 years and has worked with our inside sales team and in agent support. So many of you may recognize her name or know her.
Hi Dave, and good afternoon. We're excited about today's product webinar, and we are planning to develop a library of these across our product families. To make sure we are on track providing you with the type of content you need, we will send you a short survey after today's webinar. Please provide honest feedback on that survey with as much detail as possible about the topics and products you would like us to cover. That will help us in designing future webinars for you.
Today's webinar will last approximately 40 minutes. It will consist of a company update, the Liaison Family product overview, online sales tools and how to access links for online selling, and market opportunity insight. Please feel free to type your questions into the GoToWebinar panel, and we will answer them at the end of the presentation. So let's get started. Seven Corners has now been in business for almost 24 years. As a managing general underwriter, also known as an MGU, we develop, market, distribute, administrate, and underwrite insurance plans. We also process and pay claims because we hold both the underwriting and claims paying authority for several carriers. Seven Corners also acts as a third-party administrator for several private label products and organizations. In addition, we are one of Lloyd's top 5 largest cover holders and are very proud of our 15-year partnership with Lloyd's. All of the plans discussed today are underwritten with Lloyd's paper.
In addition to our partnership with Lloyd's, we have several other valued partners such as United Healthcare, Crum & Forster, American Modern, John Hancock, April, Mayfair, the U.S. Department of State, and the U.S. Bureau of Prisons. For these partnerships, we share the same vision of providing valued products and the best possible customer service experience.
Seven Corners over the past year has made a renewed commitment to the services and assistance that we provide your clients and our insureds, increasing the overall customer experience with Seven Corners. We handle over 200,000 customer contacts per year. More than 90% of the insureds that call into Seven Corners have a first call resolution. We speak over 11 different languages in-house and use a language line for all others. Calls on average are answered in 30 seconds by a live person. We also use an independent monitoring company to assist with our quality control. And finally, all of our inside sales teams are licensed agents providing professional service and support to you and consumers. Although the fewest number of assistance services that we provide each year, evacuations are the most critical and are the true testament of our capabilities. We conduct over 1,000 evacuations each year. One most recently was Buzz Aldrin. No, it was not the moon, it was the Antarctic. Thanks to the dedication of our physician and nurse assist team, this was another example of our dedication to a client in their time of need. Due to our recommitment to service, we are proud that our average Google rating has increased over 300% in the past 10 months. We are also even more humble that we have now obtained a Google rating of over 4.5 in the past 6 months. It is a reaffirmation from our clients that our services and assistance are just as good as the insurance they purchase. In this webinar, we will focus on our Liaison Travel Medical family of products, which includes the Liaison International, Liaison Continent, Liaison Majestic, and Wonder Frequent Traveler.
The Liaison travel plans are designed for people who are traveling for a limited time outside their country of residence or home country. This includes U.S. residents traveling abroad, non-U.S. residents traveling to the U.S., and non-U.S. residents traveling anywhere else in the world. These plans fill in the gaps that occur when the traveler's domestic plan doesn't follow them outside their home country. The plans provide comprehensive medical benefits and specialized benefits that are important for travelers to have. I do want to stress that the liaison plans are not ACA compliant and do not meet the definition of minimal coverage.
Janice, tell me, who is eligible for one of these plans, and when does coverage start and end?
Whether your client is in the U.S. or a non-U.S. resident, a traveler is defined as one's own self, a legal spouse, which includes a domestic partner or civil partner, and an unmarried dependent child over the age of 14 days and under the age of 19. Coverage begins the day of your departure from your home country. Coverage ends the date that you return to your home country. It could end earlier if you become ineligible for the coverage or if you become active duty in an armed forces. It's important to note that the initial coverage start date is used for deductible and coinsurance calculations and to determine pre-existing conditions. Let's consider a quick example to explain how this would work. Sue bought 31 days of Liaison Majestic on March 1st to March 31st. Then she renewed it for 20 days through April 20th. If she became sick while covered, we look back from March 1st to determine if it is pre-existing. For her deductible, if she paid part of it in March, she only pays the remainder of it in April to meet her deductible. She gets credit for payment back to March 1st. Coinsurance calculations would work the same way.
Well, Janice, that brings up the question then, how do members renew their coverage?
We will send a renewal notice to the primary member's email address, giving them the option to extend their plan. These are provided at 30 days, 7 days, and 1 day before the expiration date of the plan. The notice provides the member with an online link to renew their plan easily and quickly. A $5 administration fee is included for each renewal. Members can renew Liaison Continent, Majestic, and International. Because Wander Frequent Traveler is an annual plan, it is not renewable.
Well, then how long can insureds travel?
The length of time varies by plan, Dave. Members can buy up to 45 days for Liaison International, 187 for Liaison Continent, and 364 days for Majestic. Majestic can be renewed for up to 3 years. These 3 plans are per-trip plans, and the minimum number of purchase days is 5. Wander Frequent Traveler is a little different because it's an annual plan that allows members to take as many trips as they like throughout the year. They choose whether they want Plan A, which allows for trips up to 30 days in length, or Plan B, which allows trips up to 45 days in length. Wander Frequent Traveler is a great option for anyone living near their country's border if they take frequent trips into neighboring countries. For example, if the member lives in the United States and travels into Canada frequently, they would need travel insurance while there. The Wander Frequent Traveler makes this easy. They buy an annual plan and then travel as often as they like. As with most insurance products, there are geographic limitations. Let's take a moment to talk about those. For our liaison plans, there are 2 types of restrictions. The first is relating to the mailing address we collect. We cannot accept mailing addresses from the states of Maryland, Washington, New York, South Dakota, and Colorado. And we cannot accept mailing addresses from these countries: Islamic Republic of Iran, Syrian Arab Republic, U.S. Virgin Islands, Gambia, Ghana, Nigeria, and Sierra Leone. The second type of restriction is a destination restriction. This is a short list. We cannot cover travel to these 2 locations: Islamic Republic of Iran and Syrian Arab Republic.
Well, Janice, the first question that comes up then is, what type of benefits do these plans include?
Customers have a choice of medical maximum options, which range from $50,000 medical maximum to $5 million. Options vary by plan, and there are restricted limits for members age 60 and up. Customers also have a choice of deductible options, and these range from $0 to $5,000 depending on the plan. Coinsurance applies based on whether the claim is in or out of the U.S. Outside of the U.S., most plans pay 100% of eligible expenses after the deductible. Inside the U.S., we typically pay 80% of the first $5,000, then 100% of remaining eligible expenses. As far as coverage, the plans include the types of benefits you would expect to see in any medical plan: inpatient services, including room and board, diagnosis and surgery, and medications. Outpatient services would include outpatient facility expenses, physician visits, and prescribed medicines. There is also coverage for local or air ambulance, dental emergencies for accidents and pain treatment, hospital daily indemnity, AD&D, lost luggage, and trip interruption. Please note that our travel medical plans do not include wellness benefits.
Well, that, excuse me, that takes care of most of the common coverages and benefits. But when most people travel abroad, if something happens, it's usually due to an emergency. How are these covered under the liaison plans?
These services are and should be the main concern of most travelers, Dave, because they represent the gaps in most of our domestic plans. The liaison products cover a variety of these services. And it's important to note that Seven Corners Assist must coordinate these benefits in order for them to be covered. Let's talk about emergency medical, evacuation, and repatriation. The evacuation component is a benefit that moves you from one place of treatment to another, if medically necessary. The repatriation component returns you home, if medically necessary. The emergency reunion benefit would allow the member to choose a person to travel to their bedside and accompany them home if they need that support. This benefit is only provided if an emergency medical evacuation has occurred. Return of minor children provides for the care and return of minor children to their home country if they're traveling alone with a parent who is hospitalized and unable to travel because of a covered medical illness or injury. Return of mortal remains pays to return a member's remains home if he or she dies while traveling. Now let's talk about some slightly different but still important benefits: political evacuation, terrorism coverage, and natural disaster evacuation. The political evacuation benefit pays to transport a member to their home country if a formal recommendation is made for them to leave their host country. It's important to note that this benefit will not apply if a formal travel warning was issued by the State Department for the host country and the member did not follow it. Terrorism coverage is a topic that's on everyone's minds. With all 4 of our travel medical plans, the terrorism benefit covers medical expense if a member becomes injured or ill due to a terrorist event. Coverage varies by plan, and the maximum amount provided is stated in the plan's schedule of benefits. There are 2 types for natural disaster. The first pays for replacement accommodations on a daily basis if a member is displaced from their accommodations due to a natural disaster. The second is a natural disaster evacuation and repatriation. It is available only for travel outside the United States. If an emergency evacuation is necessary due to the natural disaster, which makes the host country location uninhabitable, this benefit pays for a one-way economy airfare to return the member to their home country.
From what I can tell, these are comprehensive plans. Does that mean they also provide protection for all medical conditions?
Unfortunately, no, Dave. These types of plans are not priced to cover conditions that existed prior to the effective date of the plan. However, there are certain situations based upon the plan chosen where the plan may cover a pre-existing condition. First, let's talk about what a pre-existing condition is. In its most basic sense, it is a medical condition of any type, including mental illness, that existed with reasonable medical certainty when the member purchased coverage and in the 36 months before the effective date of the coverage. This is regardless of whether the condition was symptomatic, known, diagnosed, or treated. If the member is traveling outside the United States, the look-back period is 12 months instead of 36 months. For anyone traveling in the United States, the look-back is 36 months. There are 2 types of coverage for pre-existing conditions. First, we'll look at the U.S. resident traveling outside the U.S. With this, we have a waiver of pre-existing conditions. This provides limited coverage if an unexpected reoccurrence of the pre-existing condition occurs. This means that any non-scheduled or non-routine treatment could be covered. Here's an example of how this would work. I am a U.S. resident traveling outside the U.S. and need more asthma medication. This would not be covered because it's routine treatment. However, if I need to see a doctor because of my asthma that has gotten worse and he recommends I change my medication, this is a covered expense because there is a change in treatment. Secondly, for a non-U.S. resident traveling to the United States, there is an acute onset benefit. To understand this benefit, let's consider the asthma scenario we just discussed. It would not work the same way for the acute onset benefit because an acute onset is only for an urgent, unexpected situation that must be treated immediately in an emergency room or with hospitalization. The benefit specifically requires that the treatment be obtained within 24 hours of the sudden and unexpected reoccurrence.
Janice, you've covered a lot of information. Can you please provide a quick comparison of the benefits and the services that are provided in these plans?
Sure, let me cover a few highlights. Most of the benefits and services are explained nicely in the brochures, which can be found in the Seven Corners website. Also, on the agent site, you can review the Agent Quick Guide, which provides a nice comparison of the plans. You can find it at the www.sevencorners.com/agent in the sidebar under Resources. Choose the link labeled Our Products. The main difference between the plans are the benefit levels, the length of travel allowed, and of course pricing. As far as the trip length, we previously discussed the difference. The Liaison International covers up to 45 days, Liaison Continent trips up to 187 days, and with Liaison Majestic you can buy 364 days and then renew it for up to 3 years. As far as pricing, it is generally the lowest for Liaison International and the highest for Majestic. Wander Frequent Traveler is priced differently because it's an annual plan. The deductibles are per coverage period for the Liaison plans and are per trip for the Wander Frequent Traveler. Coinsurance includes a standard 100% for travel outside the U.S. and then varying percentages for payment of the first $5,000 in the U.S., which then increases to 100% of coverage. Liaison Continent offers additional options for members. From this point forward, you will see the plans vary for the dollar amounts that are provided for each benefit or service. For example, for an emergency medical evacuation, Liaison International offers $300,000 versus $1 million on Continent and Majestic. There are also coverages for coma, felonious assault, loss of baggage, and trip interruption. Please note that the specific triggers must apply for trip interruption and that the benefit is limited. As previously mentioned, the waiver pre-existing condition is for U.S. residents and the benefit levels vary with age. Note that the waiver of pre-existing conditions works differently for Liaison Majestic. You'll recall this benefit is for U.S. residents traveling outside the United States. International and Continent cap this benefit at $20,000 and $25,000 respectively for ages 0 to 69. However, Majestic provides a coverage to the medical maximum for members with a primary health care plan, or PHP, and up to $20,000 without a PHP. That brings us, the question is, what is a primary health care plan? It is a group, an individual, or a governmental health plan that is the first payer of claims for the member. Medicare, Medicaid, and the VA health plans are not considered a PHP. In addition, the PHP must be in effect before coverage with Liaison Majestic begins and continues while the coverage under Majestic is in force. And acute onset of pre-existing condition is for non-U.S. residents. Please note the amounts vary based upon the plan. The plans are more affordable. You will also notice that the Liaison Majestic offers entirely different benefits for acute onset. It pays $200 per day for each night a member is hospitalized if admitted for a heart attack or stroke, regardless of whether the condition is pre-existing. Wander Frequent Traveler also offers entirely different benefits for acute onset. It, like Majestic, also pays $200 per day for each night a member is hospitalized if admitted for a heart attack or stroke. One difference with Wander is the benefit applies only for non-U.S. citizens traveling to the United States. The other plans offer acute onset for non-U.S. residents traveling to the United States. In the event of a natural disaster, Liaison Continent and Majestic provide evacuation benefits. Majestic also includes personal liability coverage. This is for the injury to a third person or damage or loss to a third person's personal property. For those who choose coverage for a lengthier trip and want to return home for a visit, home country coverage provides protection while they are home. This benefit could be especially important for students who are planning to travel and have just come off their parents' domestic plan and therefore do not have coverage in their home country. It would also be helpful for employees who have left their prior employment and no longer have domestic coverage and will be traveling. Members earn covered days at home at approximately 5 days per month of purchase coverage. Now we'll talk about the extension of benefits, which allows members to receive follow-up care with their own healthcare provider for conditions first diagnosed and treated outside of their home country. Finally, many recreational and leisure sports are covered under the core plan. However, for members who are feeling adventurous, they can purchase the Hazardous Sports Rider for additional activities. This requires a 15% increase in premium to add this rider. It covers things like water sports, snow sports, and motor scooters, cycle riding, things like that. Now, I'd like to talk a little about the benefit period and explain what that is. This seems to be confusing. This is an amount of time your client has from the date of your injury to the illness to receive the treatment. Let's take a look at an example. If your client buys coverage for January 1st through June 1st and is injured on May 30th, he or she has 180 days from May 30th to receive treatment. With Wander Frequent Traveler, he or she has 90 days. This means that even if the member's plan ends during the benefit period, they can still receive treatment. If they have returned home, their coverage is limited under the home country extension of benefits.
Janice, I guess the last questions are how expensive are these plans, and how do I figure out the rates?
Dave, the plans are more affordable than most people realize. Let's look at Continent as an example. First, on the rates page, you will choose either traveling to the United States or traveling outside the United States. Let's choose outside the U.S. Next, we will select Plan E that provides 100% coinsurance after the deductible. Next, the plans are age-banded, so let's select ages 30 to 39. We then go across and select the plan maximum, in this case, $50,000. This gives us a rate of 91 cents per day. So for a 20-day trip, we take 91 cents times 20 equals $18.20. But Dave, you know we've made it easier to sell the international by providing online sales links.
You're right, Janice. Let me give an example of how our online sales funnel tool and what the benefits are of this tool. First and foremost, our agents are finding that it is reducing the number of calls that they receive in regards to travel insurance. Some agents have even seen as high as a 30% increase in sales. Most importantly, the links work 24/7. Just send your clients to your website. And finally, the sales funnel helps avoid consumer confusion by guiding clients to the right products with 2 to 3 simple questions. Let me show you what I mean. First of all, when you land on the main web page, it's going to ask you, where do you need coverage? Do you need coverage for travel inside or outside of the United States? Let's choose inside for this example. The next question that comes up is what best describes your reason for traveling. Are you a U.S. resident traveling in the U.S., visiting the U.S. for business or pleasure, immigrating to the U.S., or are you a student, faculty member, or scholar with a visa? Here we're going to choose visiting the U.S. for business or pleasure. Next, what type of coverage do you need? Very simple. Do you need trip protection or medical protection? In this case, we're going to choose medical coverage. And finally, we're going to ask, what type of medical benefits do you need? A scheduled benefit plan or a comprehensive plan? Since we are discussing the liaison series, we're going to choose comprehensive. The next step brings you to the plan that fits your needs and the quick quote page. You're simply going to enter your coverage start date, your coverage end date. Does your trip include the U.S. or a destination country? This is going to be a yes or no drop-down. And finally, you'll enter the travelers to be included in the coverage along with their age, primary as well as any spouse or dependents. Now your clients will be presented with the plan options available to them and the base cost of the plan. In this case, the client has an option of either the International, Continent, or Majestic. They simply click on the red select button on the right and they'll move on to choose a deductible, medical maximum, complete the application, purchase a plan, and within minutes receive their fulfillment documents via email. It's that easy. So that brings up the question, how does an agent obtain this sales funnel link or any of the individual product links?
Well, I can answer that, Dave. It all starts in the agent portal. The agent can access this portal at the bottom of our main website page, www.sevencorners.com. Simply click on Agents. Then, if the agent has already registered, they can click on Log In at the top of the page. Enter the username and the password, then click Login. If you don't know your username or password, contact us at sales@sevencorners.com. Select Agent Links and Banners. Now you have the choice of a website URL, text link, or a frame link. If you prefer product-specific links, then click on Individual Product Banners. Place the link on your website and you are ready to start earning money in the international market. So to close out today's webinar, Dave, will you give a brief overview of the market potential?
Sure will. Be happy to. At the end of 2016, it was projected that over 155 million travelers will have departed or entered the United States. Each one of these is a potential sale. Of course, the biggest challenge that we face as agents today is awareness, because over 73% of travelers do not purchase travel insurance. That means that of the $6.8 billion spent in this market, over $5 billion is still up for grabs. This leads to the biggest question of all. Where do I find this market? Well, 50% of it is in the leisure market. These are individuals taking cruises or family trips overseas. 29% are for mission trips. It could be that local church sending a group down to Mexico to help build a school or a clinic. It also could be for religious pilgrimages, inbound and outbound. Of course, we are in a global economy, so 11% is short-term business trips. These could be training, reward trips, or even closing that big deal. And let's not forget about the educational exchange market. 5% of the leisure or travel overall is for students in and out of the United States. And finally, about 3% for conventions and conferences, and 2% for many other travel reasons. I know we've covered a lot today. At this time, we'd like to open it up for a few general questions. Once again, please type in your question and we'll respond now. If it's too detailed or we don't have an answer, we'll get back with you after today's webinar. I do have one question right now, Janice, and that is, will this webinar be available to listen to afterwards on a site or be able to be emailed? Like all of our webinars, we will post those on our agent site, so www.sevencorners.com/agents, and then you'll see a section that says webinars, and you will have access to all of our previously recorded ones as well as this one. Second question, how soon ahead can an applicant apply for insurance before she travels? Janice, I'll let you take that one.
That kind of feeds into something I wanted to talk about anyway, Dave. You can purchase well in advance and have your policy in place. If for any reason you should decide you don't need it and the policy hasn't started, if it's one of these travel medicals we've talked about today, then you may cancel it for a full refund. Another question is, when do they actually start? When does a policy actually start? It starts on the day that they purchase it. It starts at 12:00 a.m. and we base it on Eastern Standard Time. And it concludes at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the end date of their plan. Don't be concerned about time zones when purchasing. Just be sure to purchase the plan to cover the day you depart your home country, whatever calendar date that is. We're often asked, do I make my start date on a plan the day I arrive at my destination? The answer is you should always purchase your plan on the day you begin your travel, even if you are still in your home country, and even if your departure is late in the day. An 11 p.m. departure from your home country still needs the coverage for a full day. Why? Because coverage begins the moment you leave your home country's airspace. And if that occurs at 11:45 p.m., then you would want to have the coverage in place in case you need it for a need for it arises. I always remember that our liaison travel plans, if they do change, like I said, are refundable, a full refund for the liaison plans. Now, Wander Frequent Traveler is an annual plan, and if it hasn't started, you can get a refund for it. But remember that it is an annual plan and not a per trip plan.
Okay, our next question. Which of these products have the best trip cancellation and interruption coverage? Well, once again, the travel medical products are designed for those individuals that are more concerned about injury, accident, illness. So they have an interruption and maybe a lost baggage, but they're truly not designed to cover the cost of the trip. That would be our round trip series of products that are available online, and we'll have those in a future webinar, or you can always call us and ask questions, and we can assist you until that webinar is presented. My next question is, if a website is down, can we send a link to a client directly? Well, unfortunately, all of our links on our website are tied to the same purchase engine. So normally what we recommend is we will send a notice out when the website is down, and as soon as it's back up. As always, hold on to the information, and if it's something that truly needs to be done quickly, don't hesitate to call us, and we can try to process that purchase for you through our inside sales team. Janice, you have another question over there?
Yes, I have a really good question that we often hear. Why does my client have to purchase two plans? They are husband and wife and want to be on the same plan. Well, in order to keep our liaison travel plans at the great value that they are, we rate the policies in age bands that have benefits, medical maximums, and deductibles that correspond to those rates. If one spouse's age falls in one age band, with its options for medical maximums and deductible, and one spouse falls in a different age band, then we will need each spouse to be on the appropriate plan. For those who can be part of the Wander Frequent Traveler annual plan process, it's a wonderful bonus in that if you have a primary on the plan, the spouse or dependents can be on the plan with you at about half the cost. So if you're thinking of taking 2 or 3 trips in a year and you want to have your family included on that can be eligible, then you will get quite a savings with that half price cost rating for the individuals below the primary.
Okay, couple more questions here. The next one is there a network either here in the U.S. or abroad? Well, first and foremost, all of our travel plans are open access. You truly can go to any provider that you desire. Based upon the coinsurance in the plan may vary how much of a coinsurance level that you have. When traveling outside of the United States, you have a couple options. You can call into our customer service team, and they can assist you in locating a provider, or you can go onto our Well Abroad site and locate a provider internationally. Please note, though, when you look for a provider internationally, it will indicate if we have a direct bill agreement already established or if this is more so of a referral provider. In the United States, based upon the plan you select, you will either have the United Healthcare Network or multi-plan. It should indicate on your card which network is available to you based upon the plan selected. Next question, can you have the company assist in putting a link on my website? Although we don't provide direct assistance, normally that's done through the agent themselves or a webmaster, we can provide you with all the tools and how to access the links in the agent portal. Please feel free to call into your account executive or rep or into the inside sales team, and they can help you locate where these links are. Once again, you can have the full sales funnel links or you can have individual products links. Okay, I'm seeing here one more question. I've talked doctors again. Janice, the question is here, when a person goes to renew their liaison policy, is there a waiting period?
No, you'll be notified usually out, as we said, 37 or 1 day out from the renewal time for that policy, depending on how long you took it. And you may do it any time of day, 24/7, from the renewal link that's found on the ID. Or if you're having any difficulty making a connection maybe online, please call us at our sales department and we'll be happy to assist you with that.
Okay, next to the last question. Does an applicant need to have a domestic coverage to purchase the Majestic plan? You're not required to have domestic coverage or a primary health plan. However, that will impact you if there's a reoccurrence of a pre-existing condition. So it always does benefit to help. Final question here. When a policy renews, would it reset the coverage days to 180 days for Liaison Continent plan? Janice?
I'm sorry, could you explain that again, Dave? I did not hear it all.
Okay, it says, when a policy renews, would it reset the coverage days to 180 days if they purchased a Liaison Continent plan? I think, in other words, how many days can they purchase at a time to renew or extend?
The total is 187. If they've had it for 30, then they would only have to be able to renew it for another 157 days. So they would not be able to exceed the total of 187 days.
Okay, we have a few more questions, but we are running close to out of time. So once again, I want to thank you for your time. And if you need more detailed information, contact your account representative, the Inside Sales team at 877-444-5012, or email us at sales@sevencorners.com. Any questions that we did not get to answer today, we will have a sales representative send you a response after today's webinar. We would also like to remind you of our next Agent Monthly webinar coming up on September 20th at 2 p.m. You may register online at www.sevencorners.com/agent/webinars. Well, Janice, I'd like to thank you today for assisting with this webinar, and I'd like to thank all of you for attending, and we look forward to seeing you in future webinars. Thank you very much and have a nice day.